Everyone on their best behavior. All right, so we'll get the meeting started. We'll call to order at 7:07. And I want to welcome, we are really, really excited to have special guests this evening. There will be 4, we have 3 right now, potential new board members, and it's wonderful to see you guys here. So we'll do, let's do brief introductions so we all make sure we know one another and who's who. So I'll start. I'm Debbie Peabody, president of the board. I've been on the board a year and a half, something like that. We'll just do this briefly.
My name is Kim Ruffalo. I'm the director of the library, and tomorrow it is my 11th year being an employee of the Stephentown Library.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
My name is Rebecca Corbett. I chair the youth committee. I've been on the board for 8 years now, and prior to that, I worked at the library.
She's the reason I'm here.
And we went to Story Hour together.
I'm Kim McMahon, the central board member. I did work at the Treasury Library for about 15 years, and currently I work at the park.
Sarah Thompson, I'm currently secretary. I've been trustee about a year, it feels like.
2
More?
now, yeah.
2 years?
See, it goes
See
by so fast.
how enjoyable it is? Has it really been 2 entire years? Oh my God. And I was a treasurer for a brief moment, and that's it.
I'm Scott Weiner, I'm vice president. I've been for 4 years. That's it. We said brief. No more.
Hi, I'm Sandy Nathan. I'm exploring whether to join the board, or whether maybe the board is exploring whether I should join.
And then
Hey, Ari.
Can you hear me? I was off mic and off camera because I'm doing double duty at the moment with my kids, but I'm Ari. I lived in Stephentown for 9 years and potential board member. Just here to check it out, see how you guys do it. Thanks for having me.
thank you for coming.
Mhm.
Okay. So we'll just begin. So adoption of the agenda. I have a motion to adopt the agenda.
We don't have a quorum, do we?
There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 4. But we only have
But the
8
quorum is
now.
based upon the majority of the minimum. So we need 5
All right.
to conduct business.
So we'll vote later. We'll do the agenda and then we'll approve.
That's right. Well,
We're a little, especially me. I am not a Robert's Rules expert or anything like that. Okay, so we'll defer the minutes until we've got this person going on. So next, what we usually review is the planning calendar. So I went back to a different format that so just a couple things to highlight there. I wanted to just double check some of the things from the previous months. So do we have a fire hall for all the events now? Okay. All right. And then the scholarship application, did that get sent to the school?
Yeah, not yet. I still have to adjust it on Canva and the stuff that will get done.
Okay. We were a little bit late, a couple days late on posting the slate of trustees for the annual meeting, so that went up this week, and we have a draft in here that we can talk about a little bit later. March, I just wanted to highlight the March 30th is the Women in the Military Program, Diana Clark. So, do you know if she's publicizing with the veterans themselves? If she
I haven't heard. I don't know. We haven't talked about what she wanted to do, but I put it out. I'm going to put the flyers up.
Okay.
And I also have to call Phyllis about some stuff that I will be talking to you guys about later. So
Okay.
I'll touch base with them about it as well.
Awesome. I have that in March, we have to do the summer camp food application.
And that will be done on Monday.
Okay, awesome.
Tax prep has already been set. sent in to the accountants. We'll get the scholarship up on the new website. I know Noe and I wanted to talk about the new website. And so we can do that during the.
Yeah, right, sure. That sounds good. And then in April, National Library Week, Connect with Your Library is a theme. I don't know if there's anything we want to try to plug into with that. We have the annual meeting on the 10th, the Easter party coming up, and beginning the summer camp planning if we start. So April's kind of a busy month.
We already have these two. We've got one for that. Well, we've got a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. And then just to highlight, so in May, we just have to be dealing with the scholarship deadline, the selection process. So we'll have to decide how we're going to handle that this year, and just make sure we time slated for that. So we don't have to go over things in too much other detail. If anyone has any other questions or things to mention on here are some of the other things coming up in town to August, the Fat Fowl and car show will be happening again this year. So that can celebrate Stephentown idea. So if we want to be thinking ahead to something we want to plug into for that time as well. All right. And the other thing just to note on here is some of the construction grant dates, which we'll talk more about master plan later as well. But so the grant process opens in June, has a deadline in August. All right. On the back, something we talked about at the last meeting, of having a message from the board in each of the newsletters. So this, all the italics stuff is just proposals, just ideas to bounce off of. So what I was thinking was we could, if the new website is up for April, we could talk about that. Noe could write something for that. And then in May, introducing new trustees. It might be so presumptuous as to assume that we may have some. Do a little intro for folks. If we have the master plan charrette, we could talk about that. So anyway, this is just a proposal. We don't have to plan it all the way out, but if you want to take a look and have other suggestions, jump in. And then is it the week before the month begins that you would want the topic? Is that
Yes.
right? Okay. All right. So so we'll just keep that in mind. Okay. Any questions, comments? All right. So on to director's report.
So we had a busy month. Well, it started off slow and has gotten quite busy during this past couple weeks because we've started doing programming again. If you all can see my upcoming program in March, really all we did was Mahjong and Dungeons and Dragons in the book club. And the D&D group is still going strong. We still have the kids coming here, or they just started coming here again, and they're loving it. So we're going to continue with that. The book club is also going strong, and it seems like we got a good number of people coming every week.
6, and one person who's almost always there couldn't make it, so it's one more, closer to 7 now.
And then Mahjong, they're changing to Fridays and Saturdays, so we'll see how that goes. But coming up, well, we had Lego Club yesterday. I wrote this obviously before we had Lego Club, and we had a wonderful Lego Club. The kids were so excited to be back, and we had 4 children, and their creations are behind you. They're planning on working on them again. They are very excited. We decided that we're going to start doing Lego Club every other week instead of once a month, because they were just like, please, please, please. So, okay. Tomorrow night, we're supposed to have a movie night. We're going to start story time again, some family game nights. The biggest event that we have coming up, the next one, is the Women in the Military presentation by Diana Clark. She's going to do it in person, but we're going to also have a hybrid link so that people can see it at home. And she's going to talk about some of her experiences, but also the history of women in the military and the roles that women have played in the military.
Oh, no.
So let that go off. But she said she's excited to do it, and she's gonna have a presentation. She'll be showing slides and things like that too, but she'll also give her own experiences, and she's had quite a few, so it should be really interesting.
Is this appropriate for teenagers?
Yes, yeah, I would say definitely for teenagers. She's gonna keep it, she's not gonna go into any gory, you know, she said she's gonna keep it
I'll share
PG.
it with them, the street teachers.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Great idea.
And I have finagled Robin into doing a presentation for us as well. So in
Awesome.
April, she'll be doing a presentation about being a travel journalist and what it's like, and she'll give us some feedback.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. The Easter party's coming up, and we have a blood drive coming up. So if anyone wants to volunteer on the 19th, I can use help for our blood drive.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, and John Wall has started coming back to do his yoga programs on Tuesdays at 10 o'clock. He seems to be doing well, and he gave us our $50 donation, so he's paying. So that went well. And if you can see, our circulation numbers have actually gone up, which is fantastic. So yeah, it was definitely good to see the numbers are starting to go back to where we want them to be.
And that was even with fewer visits.
Yes, yeah, actually, and our total visits for this month went down quite a bit, but I still think that people are, it was also that I think we had 2 snow days in
Yeah,
February,
yeah.
and it was a shorter month, so
Yeah.
that's gonna affect people. And we now have more patrons than we had before. We had, again, I've had more people coming in to say, hey, my card has been expired, I got a letter, what do I do? So that was really nice to see.
And thank you so much for doing that effort, because it really is great to see that. I mean,
It's nice to see the lines
It
going up.
is, it is. Good to know people, people will respond to that. So.
Yeah, and it was nice to do too, because some of them come in and they're like, oh, I didn't realize that you missed me. So that was nice.
And you've got all the printouts up there. if you want.
Oh, okay. Very good.
This month I added quite a number of new things, but March is going to be even more. So that's our statistics. So the annual report has been approved by the executive committee, and so I was able to put the date on it, and it's been submitted to Upper Hudson. She is still working on getting them to the state because the parameters are different this year. So there's some new regulations that are causing some great confusion and making it tough. But we've done everything we're supposed to do. It's my part's done. So she'll get in touch if there's any issues. We were closed March 12th and February 25th for snow. Facebook, the staff are still doing a once-a-day post, and it's still going really well. Our numbers have gone up, and they're finding it easy to do, which is the key thing right this. I was able to put up all of our programs on the Facebook calendar, or events calendar, so we have all those up there too. I attended a virtual electronic ECAC meetings, electronic content advisory committee meeting, which is one of the things that I'm on right now. We did a DA meeting virtually again. I think we're going back to in-person next month. We did a branding and marketing committee, which we'll talk about. The biggest thing is that I met with Paul Mays and his partner Barb, and we walked the building and just talked a little bit about what it is that we're looking for, and gave him a bunch of information. He is wants to meet with the committee, whoever the committee is. I don't honestly know. So
With that major projects committee. So.
yeah, so he wanted to know if we can meet with the committee either April 5th or 7th at 6 o'clock via Zoom. Is anyone available to do that? Whoever wants to join for that.
I'm available both times. I prefer not Tuesday, but I can do Tuesday.
Okay, so
So the major projects subcommittee is me, Scott, Sarah, Melanie, and you.
okay. Dates, anybody?
What days of the week? I'm sorry.
It's a Tuesday and a Thursday.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, either one's.
Either one?
Okay.
I'm good either one too.
Okay, so we'll see if he's still good for the 7th then, and then if not, we'll do the Tuesday. Okay.
I think she has Thursdays off. Or the Teresa's Tuesday or Thursday.
Yeah.
I think she has Thursdays off.
Okay.
That sounds good. It's out of work on Tuesday.
Well, we'll try for the Thursday first.
Who was the person who called names called?
Her name is Barb. They weren't able to get any of the engineers in because the scheduling just didn't work. So her name is Barb. She actually used to work for, blanking on another very large library system. She was the director of another library in the Mid-Hudson system. And so she now works, and she's done 10 years worth of construction grants and, building her library up. So now that she's not working there anymore, she's working with Paul to do other, to help libraries like us write the grants and find the grants, and also help us with just giving ideas on what we can do with the space that will work the best. So she's someone who's definitely going to be a big part of helping us figure this stuff out. She was great. She looked at it, was definitely going over the building with a critical eye, and talking and stuff. So, but in terms of the structural stuff and the, all the furnace and all that other stuff, we haven't gone that far yet. So.
I don't know, what is it you're going to talk about? Any idea what the structure is?
Well, that's part of, Paul has looked through, and I think he's hoping to have someone come soon, now, like come before that happens. So I have to touch base with him again. So once we figure out the committee meeting date, then I'll talk to him and go from there. So hopefully that'll be like the deadline, get the stuff going.
I gotta admit, I'm disappointed. I think you're going to take it much seriously. Inexcusable it's taken this long to get somebody over here to actually figure out the structure of a building.
Yeah, from what I've heard is they've been extremely busy and also dealing with COVID issues. So it's been. Right.
For the new folks here, the master plan project is something we're undertaking to, it's an evaluation of our current state, all of our systems, kind of give us both a sort of a summary of where we are, how we have to plan for things like regular maintenance and regular, roof has to be replaced in 10 years, plus looking at what we can do with our current space to make it more usable, both inside and looking at some of our outdoor options, and then with an eye towards what is it we're not able to accomplish in our current space that we might need to look at, other options for that. So we just sort of started that process. It's been a little bit slow to get started, and we're really
Art Paul made and partner bar with the
architecture.
They're an architecture group.
Okay.
I just
They
had to
have
put that
they
in.
have very extensive experience in libraries. That's what they specialize in. Libraries.
No, people that are very qualification. We met, I made Ross.
And Sandy,
That's
and,
him. Oh, yeah.
and on Zoom we have Ari.
Hey, Ari.
She's waiting. So with the master plan, we're looking at, how can we change the footprint of the building? Can we do a small extension? What can we do? How much money is it gonna cost? All that fun stuff. So hopefully now that they've met, we'll start the ball rolling a little bit further quickly, I guess. Okay, so I also met with the new director of Berlin Library, and she is very lovely, and we are going to try and collaborate more. The one thing I will tell everybody was lovely to hear is that her board wanted her to make their library more like us. Like talking about all the programming that we have and all the different things that we're doing. So she was very, it was nice to hear that, we're, at least our work is still out there and people are seeing what we're doing. So it was kind of funny.
Is the population they serve comparable?
Yes, yeah, it is, but they actually have a better main street, so they have more kids who live within walking distance of their building. So, there's definitely a lot that they could be doing with that, with their space that they're trying to start happening again. So
Is the space comparable as well, same general size, or?
no, we're bigger, I think we have a bigger footprint, but it's a gorgeous space. I mean, if you ever have the chance, it's absolutely beautiful.
Really?
Yeah, it's in an old house, but they redid it.
Be able to make the chance.
What's that?
It's not so far away.
No, it's not. But it is like they have a loft area, and they have rolling bookcases that are actually very beautiful. One of the things we're looking at is refurnishing, just so that we can move bookcases to the sides and create more space for programming, because that's one of the biggest things that we have issues with here is we're too small for the number of people we have coming. But the Berlin Library, they're doing that stuff too. So we're going to work collaboratively, I think, on some summer programming and just see what we can do to kind of get our communities together. So let's see, I spoke to both Kevin Holden and John Costa about the trees in front of the building. I'm pretty sure it was John who gave me a verbal estimate of $2,100. He was supposed to send me a written estimate. I have yet to receive that, so I'm going to try and get in touch with both of them this week as well to say, give me something that we can put in writing. So, and they both said they would. I just don't know if it's been busy or not. So. And the biggest thing that I have is that I have scheduled a Civil War enactment program or an encampment program for August, the weekend of the 4th at Bell and the other stuff. The problem that we're going to have, and I need to have permission from the board, is two things. One, if we do have it on the grounds, it's going to. I need to cross my fingers and hope to whoever's out there that it will dry out there, because our backyard is flooded. It's just been flooded since last year. There was a stream running through the tent for camp, so the kids actually built a little like wooden structure to go over the thing. It was, I guess, call it educational, it was engineering. But so I don't know if we'd be able to do that. What they do is they will. They come in on Friday night, they start a campfire, and they have the fire burning the entire time that they're here, which would be from Friday to Sunday afternoon. They would then do presentations. They would also have firearms that they would do demonstrations with. That's where I get into the issues, is that they would be firearms that are actually working, and is that okay to have on the library property?
Well, they won't be able to shoot them at anything, right?
They won't shoot them at anybody, no.
No, at a person, there's no place on our grounds, a farm or something they can shoot into.
No,
And so how would they discharge them?
I don't know. I'd have to talk to them about it again and find out.
They're not using bringing weapons here, they're just bringing.
No, I think that they are active weapons that they can, but they're replicas of something from the Civil War, so they're not like.
Did quite a bit of damage.
So I left it with him as I need to talk to everybody. Let's schedule it tentatively. If it works, great. If not, then we'll do something else. The other thing that I was going to do was talk to the veterans group and see if we couldn't have it down on their property at the Memorial Park, which I have not yet done. So once I talk to Phyllis, I think that would be the best place for them to be, seeing as how it's more visible, and I think they'll get more traffic if they go there. So I was going to talk to Phyllis, talk to the veterans group. I already talked to Diana. She thinks it's a fantastic idea. Whether or not they say okay, I don't know. I know that they have done demonstration fires, like campfire or the cannon fire, I think.
Yeah.
So
Being scared to death by that thing.
So I'm hoping that they'll say yes, and that we can.
Exactly what is this? I'm sorry.
It's a Civil War encampment, so they come in and it's the I can tell you who it is.
There's an organization.
Yeah, it's the
Not bred in public theater. I guess.
no. This is the It's the unit that was raised in, so they portray the unit that was raised in 1860 in Rensselaer County. And they are the 125th New York Volunteer Infantry.
I see. Okay.
So they do this all over the place. This is not something that they don't, this is their thing, I guess you could say. So I would have to, we would need to have the permission to do firing demos, all that stuff. So that's what I needed to talk to you guys about.
And what is being communicated? Just that this is, it's part of Rensselaer County's history?
Yeah. So this would be, they actually stay on site for the 2 nights. They they would do demonstrations of what it was like to live in an encampment, what it was like to, what their clothing was like, well, what different, I guess, I don't know if they would go into, I would assume they would go into stuff like the, all of the different battles that they fought in. So it's one of those things where we would have time demonstrations for different things, but they would also just be the kind of place where you can walk in and see what they do, look at their tents. What is it like to, what was it like to live and have to experience the war back then?
They all stay in character. They're
They
all
do.
in costume and in character the whole time.
But it's just the Union side, right?
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
not- they're-
No,
they're-
there's no, like-
There's no actual.
No,
Because
no.
there are those things. I mean, they have. battles
Not-
all over.
yeah.
Maybe that's kind of.
Not with us.
Would people be able to talk to
Oh,
them
yeah.
about why they were fighting?
Oh, absolutely.
About slavery?
Yep. You go in and you talk to them about the history that they know of. They portray certain people sometimes. They get very, very into the role and the character. So
What does this cost us?
it would be $300 for the weekend. If the fire or if the veterans group is interested in doing it, I would ask if they wanted to, help out with some of that. And that's actually a pretty decent price for a program. I pay usually $450 for the Birds of Prey. So, I thought that was
Do you
actually,
need an insurance rider as well?
I would guess we might. So I would have to find out from them what we would want to do. But I told them, let's just plan it tentatively. We'll talk to everybody and see where things go from there.
Sounds like a great idea.
I think they're fascinating. But like I said, I don't know about the gun demonstrations.
I think it's safe to assume they're thinking this out without something crazy. Like, Indian helmet or anything,
No,
Something like that.
Do they have any information? Do they have a website?
I think they have a Facebook page. That's how I contacted them in the first place, was through Facebook. I can send out the information and give you one if you'd like to see it.
One thing to think about with that weekend, if I recall from last year, the Fort Fat Fowl event was fairly loud and,
Yes.
and, would that kind of even interfere with what they're trying, like, if you're playing rock music or whatever, and they're trying to be in the Civil War times, like, is that gonna work for them? But maybe that would really be another reason that the Veterans Park would be a better option.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking that, and then, I think that if they're in the backyard, it's gonna be separate enough, but that's definitely.
Even that weeds, they can camp it.
They could take up the story.
Maybe they had to troubleshoot flooding during the war and they could work on the.
There you go.
That was the thing we were thinking. I was
That's the
like,
kind of trustee we want. Oh my God.
So, we have time to, like I said, I'm gonna talk to the veterans and we have time to cancel if we decide it's not something for us. And if we do cancel, I'll definitely come up with something else to have during that Fort Fat Fowl weekend. We'll come up, if it means even if it's something simple like bringing in Birds of Prey again, or another thing that I know.
That was popular.
Oh, people love that one.
Well, the research said that the Civil War was one of the most, the types of military history that people were the most interested in town, so it
Yeah.
seems like a great one from that perspective.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that the veterans, I'm not sure if they're going to be okay with having people tramping through their park and having a fire pit set up. I think that's the thing that they're going to have a hard time with.
Yeah, probably.
So, but when I talked to Diana, she was like, let me know what they say, and maybe I'll try and help out if I can. So.
certainly would bring attention to the park though.
Absolutely.
And like you say, with that, I mean, they're getting people seeing it from both of your major thoroughfares, so
Exactly.
I'm sure people would be curious and want to pull in and see.
That's what I was hoping to do. And I don't know if you guys saw, but at the bottom of my report here, I have this lovely picture of a carol for moms or dads with small children. And I think it's
Yeah.
fantastic. So I was just thinking, I just wanted to put that out there, like, if we do this, the major, any kind of renovation, it will be a lot of fun to look into something like that. As soon as told some people who had small children, and they were like, oh, that would be fantastic. Cannot tell you how many times we've had moms with babies and they're sitting there trying to, roll
Right.
stroller and
Yeah.
rocking in the, so this was just
Yeah, that's
too cool
cool.
to look at, so. So just thought I'd share that, but I think that's pretty much it for now.
Thanks for attending the virtual advocacy day as well.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
advocacy day, I forgot about that.
and thank you, Heather. Good to see your picture on there.
I have to say Daphne Jordan is extremely library supportive, like, wanting to help. She's put in some extra funding. They've actually come up with a new bill that they're going to try and put through and get approved, is that so that association libraries can become a part of the New York State Rensselaer retirement system, so that associations can now get retirement benefits and all the things that we can't do right now because we're not eligible for that. So they're not hugely optimistic, but it's going out there anyway. So we're gonna try.
Are we, this is a little bit of a tangent, but I wanted to talk about this anyway, but so are we losing her though as our representative with this redistricting? Change?
I don't know.
Because I was trying to look it up and I thought that she's moving into, that we're Sue Serino is who would be the new person. But I wasn't clear if that was all the way settled or not, because she's now gonna be doing mostly Troy.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. So it would be a shame because I know she's quite a advocate
Yeah.
for the library, been on the library committee and everything, so.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things we probably need to focus on is have some better connection with our representatives, especially as we're moving into things where we might be looking for help with grants and things like that. So maybe having a point person who can, be in communication, let people know things that are going on, that kind of thing, inviting them to events and all of that would be something we want to try to start doing. So
Jake Ashby's office, I met with him that was another meeting that we did. And we didn't meet with him, but his aides, and they are also extremely like, we want to help libraries, tell us what we can do. So they're also very open to hearing what we have help with stuff. So
that's good.
and he was also, gave me his email addresses. So if they're having a program, let us know, we'll promote it, we'll let, all that kind of stuff. So
We should invite him to the Diana's presentation, because he's military.
oh, is he?
I think, pretty sure.
He'll do that. And I think that was it for my report. Unless there's any other questions. Any questions for him on that?
Welcome, Patty.
And I apologize for being late.
That's okay, no problem. We'll just keep plugging. We went through introductions. We'll do it at the end. Yeah, that's all right.
There'll be the reintroduction.
I thought the next item was going to be something we weren't even going to have to talk about this time.
Why don't we
Do we wanna
not
go
put
back to the
agenda
minutes?
And the minutes.
Oh, sure.
all
Okay, yeah.
the-
Yes, so we now have,
Quorum.
yeah, we can vote on this. So can we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make a motion to adopt.
Thanks, Scott.
I move to adopt the agenda.
I'll second that.
Thanks, Ed. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. And how about for the minutes, approval of the February minutes?
There's no discussion. I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay,
I'll second it.
all right, no discussion? All right, all in favor? Thank goodness we got that important work out of the way.
It's officially a meeting.
Okay, so COVID-19 pandemic phase update. It was gonna be, hey, everything's so good.
Yeah, we've obviously said that masks are optional within the building. Vicky had a small cold the other day, so she wore a mask. She tested twice, both came out negative, so she was fit to work. She's very diligent about that. So, you know, some people wear them, some people don't, and we are just saying, if you want one, here it is. So, but a lot of people are very, very happy to be back in the building and trying to get back into the swing of things. And so that's kind of where we're at. And I don't know about the school and what's going on with them. And I just, you know, they closed for tomorrow because they have an outbreak of COVID amongst the teachers, so they don't have enough educators to be there for the day for tomorrow. So I don't know if we want to take that with a grain of salt or if we want to.
I can tell you what I think I know. I just found out some of this information is coming from a 16-year-old, so take it as
So
that.
it's got the
It could be.
At least it's candid.
Yes. But also I did hear from an elementary school, nobody knew about it, and then the parents until like 3 o'clock this afternoon. So this is all brand new coming out. My understanding is it's all teachers in the middle school, high school, who all attended a board meeting together. There was a very controversial board meeting. There were some actions the school board took that were quite controversial that a lot of people showed up for on Tuesday. That's as much as I know. It's not like a bunch of kids, it's not in both schools, it's just
They went to a meeting on Tuesday and today is Thursday. And all of this group of teachers.
a bunch. I've heard it's 16 or 18. I don't know how many went, but I've heard that they were all at the meeting.
16 or 18
Some
or
of them were at the meeting.
There
I
was
think
some-
a lot of them, and again, this is hearsay, so I don't put it in the official.
All right, I won't.
You know, one person started feeling ill and being responsible, the others that were near them, most of them are asymptomatic, but tested themselves and came out positive. I don't think it's as bad as it sounds, is my point.
Well, the disease may not be. This could be some other issues.
Yeah,
Something else contagious.
there could, yes.
It's a good reminder, though, that we can't totally let down our guard, because
Yes.
again, too, even if it's, just as this shows, even if people don't get very sick, what a impact to have to close the school for a day and people aren't available, so,
Right.
you know.
Right.
Be mindful of that, so.
So the reason that this is important is for you guys to know is that we've been following what the school has been following. So we try to keep on par with them. So when they lifted mask mandates, we did too. When they're, you know, so we're not closing tomorrow. obviously.
And we don't plan on getting sick.
And we're not planning on getting sick either now, so. But we're gonna, you know, that was the other thing is that I'm having a movie night tomorrow night. And I was like, should we bring in kids? But if it's the teachers that are,
As far as I know, it's the teachers and it's the middle school, high school, so it's
I think,
probably not even the teachers that would have taught the kids that would have come.
right.
And the middle school, high school part was from a teacher from the elementary school told me that. So that I'm
Okay. So I
Fairly
think it's
certain of that.
safe then to have movie night again. I only have 2 people signed up, so I don't even know that they're gonna be. And then it can be up to parents if they want their children to mask. I mean, they're still not masking at school yet,
And they
again.
may even decide if the school's closed, they decide not to come.
They could, absolutely. So at this point, it's kind of like it's their choice and they can do it if they
You
want
know, want something to do with the kids.
That's the other thing. So, so I was gonna say, let's just keep going, you know, trending forward and, but again, that's another thing for the board, if you guys are okay with that or not in terms of continuing with the programming that we're doing.
I guess my only thought about the thing tomorrow night is, do you think it would make sense, or does everybody already know this? This will be known information, just to give people a heads up so that they might wear a mask when they wouldn't otherwise or something.
All the families know because they sent out a thing to the school, or all the families of the Berlin district saying it was because of the they don't have enough staff.
Okay.
So,
So they're all aware of the situation.
yeah. And my guess, I think word travels pretty fast around here.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
It was also posted on the Stephentown page.
That was it.
Yeah. So if you don't have a child,
Yeah.
in that school, will follow the page.
And it was also on their website. I checked that
Mhm,
too,
yeah.
so people are definitely aware of what's going on. So I'm going to assume that we're still good to continue with the different things that we're doing, and
I think it makes sense for now. Just keep monitoring, see how things go.
absolutely, it's kind of where I was at. So that's where we are with the pandemic.
Governor extended the year for an additional month.
Oh, okay.
That was issued yesterday, I believe.
Emergency.
The state of emergency has been continued out.
So it includes the open meetings law.
Yes.
And that allows us to be able to do virtual meetings. Okay, treasurer's report. So Melanie's not here. But we have the report she provided us. That's color-coded as always. So basically, the highlight is, I think that we are in good shape. So in terms of budget, we are, as she points out, 14% of the way through the year, and we've spent about 12% of our budget, so we're right on track with that. And it looks like we're on track with our income to earn as well, because some of that is the town money that comes in as that lump sum, which we got. So if folks have any questions, just to give a couple highlights. So we do have special project accounts where we're saving up for particular things. So we have one for painting, we have one for repairs, and then a general special projects that haven't been designated for other purposes yet. We have a scholarship account, so we do a scholarship every year for rewarding a student who has shown communities volunteerism kind of thing. The Zook account is a fund for purchasing new books. That was a what do you call it? It was like a bequest. Thank you. Yeah. And then we have our regular checking money market savings accounts. Anyone have any questions on the report? All right, we'll move into committee reports. First one is fundraising. So on fundraising, I just included the budget there, so we have that for reference. So this year, our goal for annual appeal is 10,000. We raised 18,000 last year, so that should be a very doable goal. And we've plugged in $4,000 for events, but we don't have a specific plan for that at this point. And then you can see the expenses we have estimated, which are fairly guesses at this point. But I think our overall goal is well within what we can reach. Next is just some of the plans that we have been talking about. So this is also a little bit included in the brand and marketing report, but we're planning on, so we have a new logo that we designed last year. We've done different things like t-shirts and bags and things in the past. And so what we wanted to try out this time is doing one of these pop-up merchandise sites. So what it allows you to do is sort of have less risk and less inventory on hand, things like that. So they do a personal, there's a Bex, what is it called, Bex?
Dex, yeah.
Will
It's an
create
Adams mask.
personalized website for you and you select the types of merchandise you want to have available for folks. And then they can order that specifically. So you don't have to guess all the t-shirt sizes and everything else, it's, all of that. And then they get shipped out like 2 or 3 weeks after the store closes. So you have like, you select how long you want the store up and running. You promote it a lot during that time. And then you, the stuff comes in after that. And so what we've been talking about, do you want to, I don't, do you want to talk about this, Sarah? You're the one who's been on point on it.
Yeah, so we talked about that there's a minimum for certain items. So if it's soft goods, there's a minimum of 36 that they need to have us sell. So if for some reason we didn't have enough people buy them, we can buy them and sell them throughout the course of the year. So we're not really any the worse off in that situation. 36 mugs, 12 blankets, and we thought the blankets would be really good because of the upcoming live at the library music concerts in June and July. June, July, August.
And some September too.
Oh, well, yeah, so well, we should sell more than 12.
Yes.
And we
Does it float? We could use it.
And it's not going to rain that much this summer. It can't.
so we just intend to get it up and running enough in advance of Live at the Library that people can buy things that they might want to wear to it. So we're going to do that mid-May.
And we're waiting for some updated pricing. Sounds
Yes,
like
there are a couple things. We didn't get pricing on blankets and we didn't get pricing on sweaters. Plus, since we got the pricing, prices have increased because prices are increasing everywhere for everything. And so everything's going to be a little bit higher than it was. But, you know, since we will set the price for what we're selling it for, we just adapt it and hopefully it won't be so high that people are not interested in our lovely items.
Oh, in terms of the logo, I got another compliment from another library director. She said, every time I see your signature on there, it's just such a nice little logo to see. So we're getting compliments on that too. So I wanted to share that. So it's like, oh, that makes me feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. So for that, we're hoping for a goal of about 600. We think that seems reasonable. The other thing we were talking about, kind of a smaller effort, is doing some snacks and beverages at the library. And we'll probably want to alternate weeks with the Historical Society if they're interested in doing that as well. Kind of share that. So we'll need to start coordinating some volunteers, get some ideas of that. But that seems like a easy tie-in kind of thing. In terms of annual appeal, what we've talked about trying this year is starting it maybe a little bit earlier to help us get a better handle on our fundraising income ahead of the budgeting process. Because we're always kind of a little bit behind the ball on that. I mean, we managed with that fine, but just a little bit of an experiment. Might try something like, you know, having a $75 option tied into 75th anniversary, things like that. And do some of the things we did last year with the online options. And the other thing we'll probably try again, but we need to have actual projects to decide. This is some project specific fundraising. We tried that last year. It didn't do a lot, but we did a little. So where we say, hey, we're trying to fund this. Do you want to donate towards that? And as we have some stuff coming out of the master plan, we can work on that. And then some of the brainstorming ideas. So raffles, we're going to do some raffles during the Easter party, but maybe sort of just incorporating that as during different things. It's kind of no effort, you know, very minimal kind of effort thing. And I think people generally will toss in a couple bucks for a raffle chance. So thinking about that. And then there are some other, in terms of events, some of the things that have come up so far as ideas, and we probably want to see if we might want to meet to dig into these a little bit more. But there was an idea about holding a talent show with a dinner. Do you want to just mention?
Yeah, Toby thought it would just be something that people in Stephentown would really like to finally come out and see their peers actually doing something that they're good at or enjoy doing, and it could include kids, so, it seemed like a great way to attract a lot of people to come, meet up together, have a meal, and, support the library financially. Where he was thinking Four Fat Fowl, just because he has that experience with doing the show in that gym space, but
I'm not sure about Fort Fat Bell. I asked them if we could, I had set up a program for a sled dog presentation. And I had asked if we could use the gym, and they were hesitant about it because of the insurance stuff and, cleaning and what is that going to really mean to have all these people in the building?
yeah, we would have to
So,
pay for insurance like Toby did when he did it, if we were to do it there.
right.
We probably have to do that anywhere. Maybe not, it depends.
Yeah.
We also thought about possibly seeing if Norte would be interested in letting us use their space for one night and maybe doing the food, so.
And if the talent part of that, maybe another option would just be to ask them about, doing like a fundraiser dinner where there's.
With no talent.
Right. No talent. No talent dinner. But maybe just like some musical entertainment or something.
Yeah.
Make it more of a social fundraiser kind of thing.
Social, I'll probably get that to happen. That would be interesting. Is the school still doing, are they doing the lip sync thing this year?
Not the elementary school, no.
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 I was gonna say that could be something we could.
It's so much work, but it's so cool.
Well, I was thinking that if they already did the work and say, come to the library and show your whole community.
Oh, they did do, so usually they do in the middle school, high school, like they call it a cabaret.
Oh, yeah.
And kids are just in, but this time they did it as Berlin Idol singing competition where students prepared and performed pieces, songs.
So they've already prepared.
They've already prepared and performed them that every weekend. But
Maybe they would. That would be cool. So we could try maybe something like that.
So, and I have on there the holiday market, hoping that this year we'll be able to do that again. Not that that's a huge fundraiser, but just another event. And then
I can't believe you got Bible on there.
I know, and the only reason I put that there I was thinking about the August weekend
Oh, okay.
and thinking about what would be like complimentary type of events and things like that. And I know.
Jody is like, her ears are ringing right now.
What about the book sale?
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
We
I
struggle with the book sale because it is a ton of work. It requires storage that we don't have, preparation that we don't have a lot, and it doesn't bring in a lot of money. It brings in a lot of goodwill, but mostly people want to donate their books, not purchase the books. Yeah.
Why don't we accept donations, except they have to pay for every book we take?
I'm totally for that.
I don't know that that's gonna go over so well.
It will keep down the donations and we'll raise some money. I say it's the best of both.
I mean, we could, I would say the market, doing a market is much more, I think that would be a better idea. And I was planning on doing something like that this summer anyway. The thing about it is though, is making it so that it's fiscally, it does something for us, like selling, when we do the market, we sell it per table. We get people, it's $25 per table, and then they can sell what they can, but I've done a carnival before where they, kids had to buy tickets and they can go and do all these different activities. And then, it was a couple $100. It was a lot of fun. Everyone loved it. But again, it wasn't that much money. So we would have to come up with some activities that would raise some more money during
Maybe
that.
we can speak to the artistic community and ask people maybe to donate a piece that we can sell. They set a price.
We might even have, we would probably, and that was the other thing that I'm just going to get started too, is using this space here as an artist, but doing some art shows. And Ari and I are going to talk. She might be our first one. So just seeing what we can do to get people.
WMHG used to do an art auction. I don't know if anyone remembers that.
A million years ago, we used to do something with the Arts Council in Troy, where kids would get a little bit of painting instruction from a real artist, and they would all paint. We would sell their paintings at a show. And people would come in and pay like $25 or whatever for a painting. This is back in the, you know, late 80s, early 90s. But they would buy it, and then the kids would split the money with the library. And kids were making money, I mean, you know, so it's like, they're also learning how like it works, and you split it. You know, and then it'd be a fundraiser, and because people know the fundraiser for us, and the kids are getting some money, and people were willing to spend money, and
That's a
pretty
really cool idea. I'm gonna pick your brain.
yeah, it was a million years ago, but it was, we did it a couple years, and then it grew into some other stuff that we didn't sell, but and we passed it on off to the art school, which.
And this was the Troy Council.
The council on, it was Rancho County Council on the Arts, and then it became it was like RCCA, and then it became ACCR or whatever. like,
Yeah,
they
they-
changed their initials.
Yeah.
They have that museum downtown.
Yeah.
But, and they were, at the time, they hadn't moved there yet, so they were on Second Street, and we were on Second Street, so we did like a little, like,
Oh.
you know, we went one place and the other, and did a little stroll each summer evening.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and the kids were all from Keller Apartments, we were right there.
You could work with the school and do something like that too. That would be fun. I like it.
And there's certainly artists around that could come and do that, you know, official piece of doing some instruction.
Or do it at the camp.
Or do it with the camp. Yes. That's a good idea. Yeah.
So the kids actually sell their paintings?
Kids sold their paintings, and then they split the money with the library. You know, we provided all the materials, and we provided the programming and everything. And then the kids did the paintings, and they weren't limited to one or two, they could do as many as they wanted. And then, you know, whatever sold, we split the money with them, and then whatever didn't sell, they took back home. But we usually all sold out.
That's interesting.
And some of them we framed, and some of them we didn't, and, you know, it was a mishmash of things.
What age of kids was this?
They're in elementary school, so probably like up to maybe 5th or 6th grade.
Okay. We could do something like that with pottery, with the camp. I would be happy to go in and teach and do a pottery, like just do like some bowls or, you know, that kind of thing that we could then. You can, I don't know, there's this program called Empty Bowls, which I don't know if we would want to do something like that, or just, you know, hey, let's do some stuff like that.
Yeah,
as
it's
well.
Thompson's hand building, right?
Yeah, oh god, no, from.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I'm thinking like pinch pots and, you know, coils and.
Yeah, that's what I think. Just curious.
That's a good idea. So we want to regroup more. We talked a little bit about committees and things too, but as people, especially people have ideas that they're interested in helping move along, that'd be great. We'll start actually trying to plot these out and see which ones would work and which ones would be even worth the money, that kind of thing. So that all kind of needs to start soon for this year's.
And also with fundraising, we had talked about possible plant sale or bulk sale.
Oh, yes. And I started looking into that. We might be a little late on the game for spring, but that might be something we could consider for like do fall. But thank you for reminding me.
I make a suggestion too for your snacks at the library. That somebody would pay you to come do it.
Oh.
Pay $25 or pay $10 at first to have a table, you know, and that come out to. You're probably not gonna get a food truck,
Right.
but, you know, but you might, you know, but you probably could get somebody who does baked goods or.
It's like that. There's that person, Sally, somebody's
Yeah,
big
and-
goods on.
Which way to do the hamburgers?
That was a long time ago.
Years ago, 3 years ago.
But yeah, people will do stuff like that and they'll pay for a little bit. And then as it gets more popular and they make more money, you start for more.
It's a good idea.
Scott, how about you? How do you do it? About me, why? Just make everything and just don't pay you $10
Hey, it's a
and
privilege for doing
sell what
that.
you can. origin of this.
Scott is an excellent baker and always takes on a lot of fancy baking for any of our bake sales. Plus he makes maple sugar, maple syrup and the granola. Renaissance maybe. Sorry.
You should try to get some of your maple syrup Dave's this weekend. It's not there anymore.
No, we don't market it. We don't market, period.
You have to give a secret handshake or something to get on the list to get some. Okay, anything else on that? Strategic planning, I don't think there's anything to talk about on that because we have our plan, but.
No, I've been thinking about this. We started this whole concept of planning about 6 years ago. Because we had none previously. And so we said, gee, we should get ourselves organized. And I took that on. But I think at this point, the committee of people are distributed. I mean, not to have big projects in the strategic planning. The same thing with, the budgeting and all the other things. Everything comes from the plan, the long-term objectives, followed by your strategies to get there over the course of 3 to 5 years. And then the tactics you use the first year. And it's basically none of that is going to that organization. So I think we should disband it. So we'll use the purpose. We have a little piece of paper we pull out and then into the year and we wait around and put back in the drawer. I mean, as I said, it makes absolutely no sense that our major projects is not part of the strategic planning process. Combining the budgeting, and the personnel, and fundraising, all this stuff, all goes together. And if we're not going to do that, we need a plan.
Well, no, I think that we've talked about the fact that we do want to do that, and that this year is one of the things where we want to tie the budgeting in even closer. And major projects is a subcommittee of that effort, but that we are looking to that document as we think about the kinds of things we're going to do, and that's something that we reference back to think, okay, if we're thinking
So
we're
there
doing
were
this,
stars, here's what our goals are, here's what we.
does this match up against what we're trying to do? And I think it has been a what's the right word? Circular sounds wrong.
Guiding,
What's that?
guiding.
It's definitely been guiding, but like it's both things. So we've been able to match our plans to it. And I think we've been able to see, like last year, like looking at the results of the survey and things like that, that we are achieving it as well. That those things are.
Well, the plan 3-4 years ago had numbers in it. This point it doesn't. And so it doesn't really figure out whether we can afford to do things, how we're going to pay for it, what we're going to do as alternatives. I just don't see it serving any particularly useful purpose.
So those are two separate, you're talking about a strategic plan and a work plan, it sounds like. The strategic plan is like your 10-year plan. And then your each year you do, your strategic plan is in a, I'm sorry, I'm not even worried about it. I used to teach strategic planning to boards of directors. So you have that big strategic plan, and that's where when Kim is trying to decide, should I apply for this grant, she goes, what does this do with my strategic plan? Like, where am I going? But then those numbers are in that work plan that you do each year based on the strategic plan. And if you make the strategic plan like in a spreadsheet, you just duplicate that, and that's the work plan each year, and there's where the numbers go.
I agree
Yeah.
completely. And that
So
is
then
actually
that work plan would be what every year you're updating and you're actually using, and then that would be at your board meeting each month, that would be your report. You would pull out that work plan and we go through the whole strategic plan at every meeting by saying, here's what we did under this, here's what we did under this. We didn't do anything to this. This part of the strategic plan is the winter holiday market. So obviously we didn't do anything. You just went through. And so you would be using your strategic plan every time you met.
To me, the two things are basically part and parcel to each other. And so the work plan would be the tactics that you're using to get to the 3 to 5 year partial objectives, and those in turn would be for what you want to do in 15 years.
So it might be.
But you have to come up with the numbers.
Just not seeing.
You have to come up with the numbers and the people and the committees and all the other things that you want to do to actually implement the plan. And that's what I'm saying, we're not doing. And so, if we're gonna start doing that, I think we have to think differently. Start thinking, well, gee, if we want to be here in 15 years and we have to do this in 3 years in order to get there, what is it going to cost us? And what do we have to do this year, next year, the year after?
Right.
We're not doing that. We were beginning to do that, and then it just starts fell apart.
Right, well, I mean, the master plan is gonna be a big part of that, for a big chunk of that, and then I think we're trying to incorporate that in our committees, so that that the committee work is same thing as pulling off of that master plan. We know what the committee is doing to try to match that, and within the committee, trying to manage the budget in that same way, say, okay, we know here's what we have this year, how are we gonna
And
use
we're
that? to
always
ensure-
sharing that information back, so it's not like it's disconnected from the strategic plan. Like you hear about it every month.
Oh, I'm not saying there's not discussion. I'm saying that there isn't a stream of things happening
Yeah.
to go from one place
Yeah,
to
it's
the
either
next.
that structure isn't there, that
Yeah.
actual, like, here's the strategic plan, here's what we've done every month. Like, each time we're sitting here talking, here's, look, the strategic plan. you know.
It's not tied
Right.
back.
So it's happening,
explicit.
but it's not getting like
Right.
put in the
Put it
little
in, right.
structure.
Yeah.
But, and that is really useful to do, and it writes your report at the end of the year. Because it's all right, you know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's, I think it's a nice functioning thing when it works out.
Well, I think that's definitely something we should think about, trying to get more in line with that, then, more structured in that way.
All the functions have to be integrated. That is the whole idea. And then you figure out what you have to do to do those.
It also makes it really easy to make some decisions, because you just get into the habit of, how does this fit in with the strategic plan? And sometimes you'll be like, oh, yeah, this is a really cool idea, but
Yeah.
I cannot justify this within the strategic plan,
Mhm.
so it sometimes.
And does the strategic plan like have areas that you're focusing on? Because I've seen what you're talking about, Don, where oftentimes there's 4 areas. 4 seems to be a key number. And you put them up, and anytime you're making, like, when you're talking about things, where does this fall? Which area is this addressing? Sometimes, and it's helpful just to have it on a big piece of paper sometimes.
Exactly. And
So
for
that-
everybody to understand. it,
Yeah, so that when you're
even
talking.
When people are working and it's sort of dead and they don't know what to do, what should I be doing? You look at that.
Right.
That big thing on
I
the
mean,
back.
I've seen
Yeah.
it like in one of my workplaces where they have it framed,
Mhm.
and in every office,
Mhm.
it's up there. And, when they revisit it and tweak it, at the annual meeting every year, they all get reframed, and it's just, it seems like a hokey kind of thing to do, but it keeps everybody on the same
Yeah.
page.
Focus, yeah.
Yeah.
You have missions on the top.
Right.
Everybody
Mission
knows
on- Yeah.
the prioritize.
So I think the thing that we've been talking about, though, Ed, is that you've always been wanting us to put those numbers into the strategic plan. And that's not what we need to be doing. Like, they need to be separate. That is the biggest thing that I would like, okay, we don't put that into the strategic plan, all the numbers, those go into the working part. So I think that that's just the one thing that I wanted to have clarified, is that those numbers, all of those plans that we have, this is more of an overview. And then we work on another plan separately year by year on how we're gonna work on that.
But it sounds like there might be a way to more explicitly show how we're laddering back.
Yes,
Right,
yeah, I think that we can definitely do a better job, like going back to that and seeing.
Laddering
how we're
back,
doing.
but also going forward.
Yeah.
In other words, when you're doing the budget, you have to say, gee, this is what we're trying to get to.
Right.
But like you were saying, when that thing is framed on the wall, there's not like a whole bunch of specific numbers. It's more like those overall plans,
Right.
because those numbers are
Right.
different.
And the things that are framed on the wall are not your steps to get there
Right.
either, but that would be helpful to
Yes.
have even in an environment like this,
Yeah.
here's the steps we've identified, and oh, look at here, we've checked off 7 of them, and maybe we need to add a couple, or maybe this step really doesn't count, you keep revisiting it.
It's almost like in the school district when they have the overall curriculum from the state, but then each teacher has their lesson plans. Right? They're really separate, but totally tied together.
But I disagree that it should have no numbers. I mean, the number, I'm not saying what you have on the wall, it's a different idea.
Yeah.
And I think that's really clever. I'm actually thinking about that for my own company. But in terms of numbers, if you are trying to get someplace, there are certain costs, there are a certain number of people you need, there are a certain number of books you have to have available so you get the circulation more. All that stuff are numbers, and they have to be included. I mean, not on a day-to-day basis, and when we do our budget here, this is on an annual basis. And really, how much we spend in January has very little to do with how much we spend in July. Yes, we have a total for the year, but July is a very expensive month. Let's take an example, but whereas January isn't, so effectively we're only 1/12 of the year in January. Really is, we're probably overspending if July is supposed to be 40% of our total expenditure. And so these kind of things have to be thought out. And so you can't separate the numbers. You don't have to put all of the numbers in. I'm not talking about doing day-by-day stuff, but certainly you should have some kind of a general idea of how much money you're going to raise, how much you can therefore spend.
But that's the budget.
Yeah,
That's
but
not the
that
strategic plan.
has to be,
Yeah.
but it is part of what you would need in the short run to accomplish the things in the middle of.
It seems to me the answer to all these things is yes. We've got a strategic plan. We've not been as assiduously periodically reviewing it to see where we are on it. I think that's true. But at the same token, we've got an operating budget of approximately $95,000 to keep the place operating. We have a small surplus. We've identified things we want to do in the short term, medium term, and long term. We've got now a master plan where we're taking a look at the utilization of the building and trying to figure out what we can do with the footprint and given our resources. We've talked about working in the front, we're talking about working in the back. Seems to me that, yeah, we need to do a better job in relating some of the things that we're thinking about back to the master plan. But there aren't a whole lot of things going on because we have a small budget in the near term. Probably won't have that much of a larger budget going forward. So we're sort of constrained by the economics of it, but at the same token, we're sort of at the cusp at this point now of identifying, certainly in connection with the plan, more ambitious things.
I agree with almost all you said, except the idea the master plan should work into the.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that too.
Strategic plan.
The master plan is a part of sort of the plan issue. But I totally agree with you that it's also works into the strategic plan because you're talking about, okay, what are we going to be in 20 years? What are we looking for? Are we building an extra wing? Are we, reconfiguring?
Or what do we need? I mean,
And
do
what
we
do we
need
take?
an extra wing? That is
True,
the
but,
idea.
and whatever project, doesn't make a difference, whatever project you're thinking about the plan is going to be built into the strategic plan over time, because that's what you're probably going to be aiming at, and that's true of both plans as well as programs.
And you don't limit your strategic plan to what you have the money to do. Your strategic plan is what you need, what you want. Your strategic plan also includes fundraising to get what you need and what you want. So it doesn't get limited.
I don't disagree with that too, but you've got constraints, so you're not basically going to say we've built a multi-story facility
Yeah.
in the middle of Stephentown because Paul thinks that it's a super idea.
But
and
that's
it would-
we don't
it would
do
be
that.
transformative, and you go,
Yeah.
transformative is great, but
Yes.
you've got constraints, so
Yeah.
I don't disagree with anything that's said, I just sort of say, like, we're a little library, we have a strategic plan, we probably need to do a better job in connection with using it as a management tool. And yes, once we sort of I think once we get the input from the architects in terms of that, we need to start reintegrating that information and whatever else we want to do in connection with running the library.
You have to give the architects information what we want to do so that they incorporate it into.
No question about that.
Yeah.
Well, and that's, we have a meeting for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For our prospective members, we'll make sure we send out the plan for 2022, the strategic plan, so you can see it. It's not currently on the website because we're in the middle of updating our website to the new website, so so we'll send that out, so you make sure you have it. Okay. All right. The next is major projects. Kim already kind of gave the update on that. Or the meeting this fall. Nothing else to sailing at the moment, so. Nope. Building and grounds.
Wow.
The building-
I saw Andrew's bid. We were talking about doing some work up front. And we also received a donation to do some work in the gardens up front. And I was just sort of surprised at an $8,000 figure.
Yeah.
for the work.
Yeah, so
That
the
small
two,
area.
the two front gardens are overgrown and haven't been touched for a couple of years. Need some work, which could be as little as pulling out some of the dead shrubs and trimming back others. And also replacing things that have died and all of that. But we did, yeah, we got a rather shocking estimate. Very detailed, I mean, and there's a lot of plants, there's a lot of plants on this. I will give it that. But way out of our league in terms of what we are thinking of spending and what we received a donation to spend. So it's a little bit
Somebody
discouraging.
who wants to volunteer to work on that.
What's that?
I know somebody who wants to volunteer to work on that.
Yeah.
He did last year, but he didn't.
We can do anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, Mike definitely would work on that stuff.
okay,
And his brother has the greenhouse and would give him that.
okay, well, that would be.
That'd be
helpful.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Volunteer sounds cheaper than the.
My other concern was it took a really long time to get the estimate. I kind of had to beg for it for ahead of this meeting. And it's winter, and then, that's not like the busy season, and he had already warned me that like, I'll do, when I'm able to schedule the work, I'll come and I'll do it in one shot, so you're not having a mess, but it didn't sound like it was gonna be necessarily easy to get him scheduled to do
Yeah,
that, so.
he told me it could be like 2 years is what he was.
2 years, no.
When I talked to him, he said that he was scheduling out 2 years in advance. So I think it would be one of those things where it would be like quickly, oh, I have a weekend free, let's do it. So we don't know when it would happen.
That's not atypical of any of the building trades. And I bumped into Mike at MK, who was doing work on town hall. And I said, Mike, I've got some work in the house. He goes, I remember you. I was down at Goodrich Hall. I saw you, 2 years ago. I said, yeah, that's when you told me you didn't have any time. And you showed me how to rewire. And I did. So thank you. But so do you have any time? He said, yeah, probably about 3 years.
Oh, my God.
And then I said, well, do you have any, said, on the ones in the housework, in the room, this particular room, is there anyone else who you'd recommend? And does anyone I'd recommend, they're totally busy too.
Wow.
Which is true of the chimney repair. So to the extent.
Did they ever come? They did come. to you.
We had a miscommunication, he didn't come, and he said, maybe I'll have some time next summer. Just if you go quickly.
That's
But
what-
all I'm saying, in connection with buildings and grounds, as we've seen,
Yeah. it's really-
whenever we've tried to get bids, we don't get them. People are really, really busy. There's a lot of work going on. Part of it's COVID, part of it is just the change in demographics with people moving in, moving upstate, also sucking, there's just not enough people in
Supply
the area.
chain stuff, I think is part of it as well.
Probably, there are a whole lot of things. In any event, when you're speaking to people in the trades, you gotta plan way far out, and this is typical of that. At least in my experience.
So anyway, it's hopeless. So.
So hopefully nothing breaks.
Right.
It'll take 3 or 4 years. to
Well,
get
actually,
something going.
the light in my office stopped working and he came over pretty quickly. So if it's an emergency, he definitely was able to right away. So I don't think I waited.
And the
for that.
chimney guy came in. the emergency.
He's very good.
Yeah, he came right away.
He's just very busy, that's all.
We were having a problem, so, yeah, if it's something dangerous, they usually make an exception.
So maybe we can talk afterwards.
Yeah,
about
well,
the
that's
specifics of this.
that's what it's playing. Like, I wish I came down and did something with all these flowers before I played, because it looks like.
Yeah,
fine,
right,
you know,
right, yeah.
But yeah, he definitely will.
Okay, all right.
And next weekend's the last weekend is ski season gig, so he'll,
He'll have time.
yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Is there anything else building and grounds?
What's going on over there?
We just had, I thought we had said, let's wait until we find out what happens with the master
Oh,
plan.
okay,
and
that's right,
talking
yeah.
to
Thank you
Paul.
for refreshing my recollection.
No problem.
And same with taking the trees down, that we're,
No, the trees, I think we just, we're like, let's just get those
Wait,
down.
yeah, just
because-
waiting for
and
the
we're
written
waiting for
estimate.
the
Right.
formal estimates.
Yeah.
And the good news is that they're not going to fall down by themselves.
Right.
Like the
Right.
ones we already cut down, so.
Right, right.
And they will take out the stumps.
I don't know, I haven't talked to them about that yet, but I'm not sure what. Why do the stumps need to come out so badly?
Well, they'll be there for years. And
Yeah,
you can't put another tree there, you can't put flowers, you can't put much of anything. And some of them will attract bugs, which spread to something else.
okay.
You know, it's definitely better to get it all done at one time.
I'm just,
They're a lot more expensive.
right, that's what I'm worried about is can we afford to have all the stumps be done? As well. But I can ask.
Well, they can get these guys from the Civil War. that, just come in there and put a little black powder.
Well, yeah,
Oh.
that could be good. That could be good, yeah. I think that's a good tie-in, actually.
All I can tell you is during the Civil War, they used black powder, but they had some really bad results.
These are stumps. What can they do? Blow them across the
It was
street.
just a hole.
Yeah.
Didn't work out well for a lot of young men.
Alrighty, on to random marketing.
Ah, Brandon marketing.
It's Brandon marketing, not random marketing.
Sometimes one, sometimes the other. But today it is brand and marketing. And updates are, I don't know if you guys were familiar with, I know Patty that you're familiar with the survey that we did because I sent you the results to check out, but we did a Stephentown survey. Did you? Yeah. And the things that we decided we wanted to work on coming out of that, because they seemed like basically low hanging fruit, relatively inexpensive and not too difficult, were a Stephentown business and organization directory and the Stephentown newsletter. Turns out they're a little bit more difficult. Not so low hanging after all, but because it's been kind of a heavy lift. But the things that have happened since are we put together an input form for businesses and organizations to make it easier for someone who might be interested in making a web-based directory. And I did speak with PJ Roeder about it, sent him the form, asked him if he wanted to fill it out so you could see what the user experience was like, and would he want to pose it to the town board to see if anyone on the town board would be interested in taking it up, which he did at the meeting on Monday. And I heard today that they all are interested in it. They think it's a good idea, but nobody wants to. And he said something about maybe we could get the county involved, which I don't know what that means exactly. But he did ask me if I would come to the next workshop, which is on the 11th of April. And I said I would. So, you know, maybe I can either generate more enthusiasm and somebody might become interested, or he can explain to me what the county would do.
He didn't want you to come to the regular board meeting next week?
No, he wanted me to come to the workshop.
Okay, just curious.
I think because, you know, I wanted to show them things.
Oh,
and I
okay.
think that would be a little bit difficult if people from the community were there and stuff. Let's see. Do you want to talk about what's taking place with the website?
Sure. Actually,
No
Noe
way
is
to
on,
on.
so we
Oh,
can,
no way.
yes.
Hey, no way.
Hello. He's muted. Noe, do you want to go ahead and go for it?
I apologize for the baby noises in the background, if you hear any. We've been working on the website. I can conservatively say that it's about 80% done. There's still some things with the library history that Kim is working out with the town historian. The calendars / events section is up and running. It's working. Almost everything is working. There are some minor tweaks that we have to work on, but hopefully they they will be worked out within the next couple of weeks. I haven't been able to do much with it. I've had several trainings with my second job, so that has pushed back a little bit the work that I am able to do. But I feel confident that by April we should be having it at least partially done and ready to be online.
That's great.
Yeah,
Thank
it looks
you.
really good. When we looked at it, a lot of the work you've done with Kim just looks like a big improvement.
It's gonna be an ongoing project. So even though we push the website to be live, there's still a lot of things that need to be done. But those we can continue working on them. We just wanted the main portion to be all set and working, all the links and the specific shortcuts to our donations page, to the Stephentown Library social media, the YouTube channel, all of that is working. So what's left is just regular posting that Kim and I can do throughout the next couple of weeks.
So are we still thinking about making it live then, like soon? Do we want to, is that something you want to try for? So that we're not doing two websites at once?
Were you asking me?
Yes. Sorry, yes.
Yeah, so in all honesty, I think it's a better idea to just put it live and continue to work on the new website rather than going through the troubles of working on the old site plus the new site. It makes no sense.
So I just did all the events on the old site and then had to redo it on the new site as well. So
Yeah.
if it's going both ways right now, it's kind of like, let's just do it all on the new site.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And that
One thing,
really one of the
sorry.
things that we have the new website up and running on the 10th.
Right,
For the annual
And then
meeting, we can do it. And,
Yeah. Yeah, and as long as the major functions are working, people forgive you if you're,
yeah.
a couple pages aren't updated or whatever, but, yeah, I think, and the events that we don't want to create, we don't want that to continue with the duplicate work.
It is, it's
Yeah, two websites and the Facebook and everything, and a
Yeah.
flyer, I mean, that's a lot.
yeah,
of-
it took me a couple days to do it all.
Actually, that's what I did this week, yeah, so, yeah, that makes sense, I think, to all of us.
one thing's also that Jen had pointed out, we didn't know this from Upper Hudson. The new website was supposed to be a sandbox and it wasn't supposed to be live. So using Google or any other search engine, you weren't supposed to find it. Unfortunately, it is live, so it tends to be rather confusing if somebody is searching for Stephentown Memorial Library, they're gonna find that website either way. So to me, it makes more sense to just push the website and then continue to work on it.
Agreed.
I agree.
Great, thank you, Noe.
You're welcome.
Other things, we've already talked about the branded website fundraiser that we want to do with Bex, and I'm still working with them to coordinate that. I'm working on the Caldecott lecture that I took upon myself, and I'm really finding it a lot of fun. I'm kind of getting excited about it, so I'm hoping to have that done and ready to do in June or July.
Kim, I wanted to just let her know, because she's a former children's librarian. I just made a Caldecott collection. We just got all of the Caldecotts. So Sarah, we had talked about what can we do with this, and Scott had an idea of, well, we have some kind of conversations or presentations about it. So Sarah has been putting that together, which I think is.
I'm looking at 3 or 4 of the books per decade, and I'm looking at what's going on during that decade and trying to tie them together. Either one is sort of spurring the other on, or a response to, or reaction against, whatever it is. And it's pretty interesting. Yeah, it's cool. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, we had talked about that StoryCorps idea with the welcome experience for new residents coming into the library. And so I need to work on a little survey so that new residents and more established residents could be brought together if they have shared interests or things like that. And the new residents could have a sponsor for, say, the first year of their time in Stephentown, if somebody who's been here longer would be willing to do that.
And one of the nice things already, we saw a couple of people recently just posted on the Stephentown Facebook group, like, hey, thanks for letting me join. I just moved here this year. And you were right, Johnny, on the spot, Sarah, to say like, hey, I hope you stopped in the library. Yeah. But we were thinking of being able to do some sort of outreach on our website page too, to be able to say, are you a new resident? Like, hey, come in and we have some stuff. to
The only
play
thing,
with.
rather than doing mailings, let's try to drive
Drive
people
them in,
here.
yeah.
And have something to offer them once they get here, and that would be one of the things. That's it, that's basically it.
Any questions, comments?
I had no idea what PJ had in mind by involving the county, but if a person is doing business as under another name other than who's of their own, they have to register with the county, and it may be that the county can extract Stephentown addresses. Now, I don't know if that would help you in any way, because I'm not sure exactly what you're.
Well, the input form we would get the address, we would get their websites if they have websites, Facebook pages, we would get all that information. It's really, we thought that the town board might have an interest in gathering all the data together and creating something that would be useful to the town, and it would also show that they're serving a nice function for the business community. So I thought, we kind of put them in a good light if they raise their hand to do it, but they don't.
But I think to your point, that might be a way for us to help identify the people
Who should be in
to
the
solicit
Yes,
them for that,
to get
yeah.
a larger, a more extensive list than we have already,
Right.
because we have some, but not all.
Yeah,
for
that's a
sure,
good
yeah.
idea.
And maybe that compilation could be handed out to new people right here.
Exactly, yeah.
Is that what you had in mind?
Well, we thought it would be web-based so that it could be updated on
I
a
see.
regular basis, but we could also from that create a hard copy that we can hand out, sure. Yeah, that would be something that new residents would definitely want.
Or
access.
be on like a sheet for new residents. Here's places, here's the web pages you can go to for information,
yeah.
things like that.
Go to this link or here they are, yeah.
If the county got involved, Stephentown could be the trendsetter, could be something that the rest of the towns in the county end up doing as well.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he has some very clever idea about how that could happen. He just didn't explain it, so. I'll find out on the 11th.
If the person with county clerk's office has any vacation, what they could do. Just saying.
I'm not, one never knows.
And maybe they could. PJ has that connection.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see. And the other thing was the newsletter that people were really interested in. Robin Catalano said she would be willing to do the editing and the writing because she has a lot of experience with that, but she wasn't willing to do the legwork to get the information from all the businesses and organizations about what was going on in town on a monthly basis. And so we just sort of need somebody who has a passion to do something like that. And we haven't found it.
All right. Any other questions or comments? The next committee is recruitment, which I would say, hey, good job. recruitment committee. We
We have
four people.
Board potential board members.
Hope we just don't blow
That's
it
in my
tonight.
report.
Don't say anything else.
Is there any questions?
I was just gonna add, we do have the formal, what we have to do during the annual meeting that's coming up on the 10th. So we have the slate of nominees. So we have, and I hope this is right, this is always a little bit confounding to me. So Noe will be voted in for his first term that ends in 2025. I'll be voted, I'll be on slate for. Yeah, I'm on slate for my first term. So when people fill in a term, they complete that person's term and then they can have 2 terms. So, and then Scott is also on the slate for his 2nd term. And then we'll have 3 open seats, 23, 25, and 26. So, Rebecca reviewed this with me. I think we're
I think
correct.
Melanie is the one to double check, 'cause
Okay.
she's the one who made that,
yeah,
did the work and made that original
Yeah.
chart throughout.
Yeah.
the thing.
yeah. So I think I've translated that correctly, but that's the plan.
I'm pretty sure you did.
Okay.
Is that Melanie's chart?
No, this is my chart. but
Oh
I'm
God,
pretty
yeah,
sure.
we all have
our own charts to figure out.
So you guys have at this point in time 3 open.
We will.
Oh, you
We
will.
will. So we have 2 open
In a month,
seats.
I mean, very soon.
Yeah, so we have 2 open seats now, and then Ed is at the end of his terms, so his
Okay, I
This is
seat
my
will be
last-
open.
last supper, I guess.
This is your very last meeting? Oh, wow.
Don't you have an April meeting?
What do you mean? I thought all we had was the annual meeting.
Well, your term goes through April 30th, right?
Ah, So, well,
This
when's
is
the
not your
April
last.
meeting?
April
gonna have one?
17th or something. The third-
Oh, I
or
thought it was
the
just the
30th.
annual meeting.
No,
in April.
no, you got one more.
April
month.
21st.
Sorry, Ed.
One month. You guys thought-
Ed was bailing on us already.
Short termer syndrome here, you know? So anyway, that's prepared for that.
And that is up on the old website. It will be put up on the new website.
The other thing we have to think of, we do it, I think usually right after the annual meeting, after we're all, if anyone's official, is our committees and our what do you call it? It's like president, those roles. So usually I think May make that official, so if anybody is, Rebecca's been really great about forward thinking about the fact that she'll be terming off, and so looking for the replacement for youth committee, that's been the real major focus right now. But, so if anybody is not feeling like they want to continue in their role, please let me know, so we can plan ahead for that, but I feel like everyone's been doing a great job, I hope you all want to continue. And then I do think we need to shift our committees a little bit. Some of them are, could use maybe a little bit more attention. We have a lot of people, a lot of the same people on a lot of the committees, so maybe it's kind of like.
How is it? Aren't there many people on the
I
board?
know.
So if you're running 6 or 7 committees, you're sort of like going to have that problem.
And I think the goal had been when they started the committees, which is before my time, was that every board member would be a chair of a committee, so that they would help divide up the work, and then people could contribute to as many committees as they want. So that's something I'd like to look at. So there's a little chart of where we are with that right now, which I think is accurate. And we can try to make that a little bit more balanced, and as people have their interests and strengths where they might be able to best serve as a chair. So
You ever have members of the community that are on a committee but not a board member?
Yes, depending on the committee. As long as a board member is chairing
Yeah.
the committee, then we wouldn't have it like on the administrative committee. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
people haven't been knocking down the door to join a committee.
We had a public go around the youth committee yesterday.
I know, we did, we had our first one in a while, so that was good.
Well, it's also in the last 2 years, it's been hard to
Yeah.
COVID.
really
now it's
invite
hard, yeah.
more people into the
Yeah,
pot.
Yeah, it has been. All right, youth committee.
Youth committee, we had our meeting about the Easter party. We are going forward with having it outdoors for the most part. We might have 1 or 2 spread out activities inside. Saturday, April 16th from 1 to 3. We chose a rain date of Friday, April 15th. We figure ahead of time we'll know the weather. But we didn't want to do it after Easter or on Easter. We will have a bunch of stations with games, crafts. The Easter Bunny will be there, and Jen secured he will be able to ride in on the fire truck. We will have food and water. I'm hoping to have volunteers prepare food. We decided it was okay. Didn't have to be store-bought, but individually wrapped. So if you make cookies, put them in individual bags. So we're not grabbing a bowl or a plate of cookies. I think Jen talked about, we're gonna have a raffle. The children's raffle will be free. Every child will get a ticket for the raffle. We'll make up a basket of spring toys or activities. And the adult raffle, you can purchase a ticket for $1. We talked about getting 4-pack fowl cheese, maybe some local wine, maybe something for Norte to make it attractive. And that would be a fundraiser for the library. That was about it. Yeah. So it should be business almost as usual. I'm planning on having some teenagers volunteer. We also need some adult volunteers. So if anybody would like to help out, I'll also reach out to, we have a email list of people who have said they would like to volunteer for the library. So I'll also reach out to that.
That I can help out. So maybe some kids.
Okay, great.
I'm available too. I'm around that weekend.
Okay.
Big question, what happened with your boys?
He's still thinking about it.
She was recruiting her sons for Easter bunny duty.
And an almost 15-year-old, so I was like, we like to act, but he's still kind of a little wary of it, so.
If I'm not, I can always reach out to Brady and see what she'll do.
I work on
All right, well, I'll talk to him again.
I'm going to reach out to Stacy Miller to see
I
what
work
Girl
that.
Scouts even though they're aging.
Oh, you know what? Well, when we're done.
Okay.
Something else.
Rebecca, what time is it?
1 to 3 on Saturday.
Okay, I've got a class too.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you want to come towards the end, we'll definitely find something for you to do. Okay.
Do you need help like setting up the day ahead? When do you start setting
We
up?
usually set up that day.
That day?
Yeah.
You probably need around like 11:30 or so.
Right, right. A few days before, we will need volunteers to help stuff Easter eggs potentially. What happened, we used to do a big Easter egg hunt in the backfield, but it was more just like a grab and go, free for all type thing. So instead of doing that, at each station, we'll have a basket filled with plastic filled eggs. So when you play a game or do a craft, you can egg. So there is some legwork in filling
I
the
can help with
hundreds
that.
of eggs. Okay. So some of it will depend on some of the front desk may be able to help if they have downtime, but probably the week before we'll either have it all laid out here, or if people want to take some and bring it home and do it and bring it back.
Have a big old party, just spread it out from the beyond.
Yeah.
You'll let us know when the stuff is here.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm happy to help with that stuff too, Rebecca.
Okay, great.
All right, so administrative committee, there's not an update because nothing has happened, but I'll just make a plug as we are looking ahead. That is an area that definitely needs attention. One of the goals for this year was to get all of our policies in order. So we have a good number of policies that are written. Most of them probably are up for review and need to be updated. And then we know we have probably at least 3 or 4 policies that we know we need to get written and done this year, and there might be some others. There's a lot of support and help for that from Upper Hudson. We don't need to create things from scratch or anything like that. It's really a matter of organizing it, getting it done, getting them.
They should also be available on the website once.
Oh, yeah, once they're everything's been approved.
So that would be something that would be great to just get those ducks in a row this year and get on our regular review cycle for those. So. Okay, old business. Did anybody have any old business? we have public today, so there's a call for public comment. Just to clarify, in case that was confusing, so we have the minimum number of trustees is what our 3 open ones would bring us to. But we've had a goal of trying to expand the number. It's in our strategic plan of trustees. So all 4 of you are welcome. Don't think that we have to eliminate the 3. It's been a goal is to try to get to start to expand that, just because as pointed out,
We need a bigger board.
we need a bigger board.
The bylaws say 15 is the max.
So what do you have now?
9 is the
Well,
minimum.
9 is the minimum, but we
Right.
have 7.
Yeah,
Right.
7.
Okay. New business. Anybody have anything they want to bring up? I'm gonna just mention one thing that just popped in yesterday was the ALA has a new COVID library relief grant opening. Just find it here. I sent it to Sarah. Sarah and I have done a grant before, so I always, it's not official that we do them, but that's, but it looked like there was the potential that it could apply to us. So there's a webinar next week, I believe it is. I can't, that's not even the right email, that sounds like I can't see what I'm looking at here. Anyway, there's a webinar next week to find out more about it. So it seems like there would be some potential. It seemed fairly open and
Yeah, it seems like
vague in
it
terms of
wouldn't be difficult to make the case
Yeah.
that we
Okay.
suffered as did probably.
And they're
every
looking for like
library.
projects that help bolster different things, so it seemed like there would be potential to be able to work something into that, so.
I don't know if I got that email. Can you send it to me?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll look into that.
That's the ALA, you said?
Yeah.
Do you know when the webinar is exactly?
I'm trying to read it here. There's another one that came up that, no, that's, I keep looking at the same email, it's not the one I want. That was interesting, an AARP grant. The source that I have of being notified of these grants, I don't know if it's not one that they were aware of before, but like the deadline was like in 2 weeks or something. But it had interesting potential, so I sort of put it on the radar for next year. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just thought I would like to.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. 3 o'clock next Thursday.
What are they willing to fund?
Very open. So, I mean, I can forward it to everybody if they're interested in reading it, but it is. Funds are intended to bolster library operations and services, including broadening technology access, developing collections, providing digital instruction, staffing, expanding outreach, as well as maintaining and amplifying existing services, strategies, or adding new ones to extend impact. Let's see, support libraries' ability to provide their users with the information services and digital access they need to retain or secure socioeconomic mobility during a time of shift and upheaval. Libraries serving low-income and rural communities or communities that are predominantly Black, Latino, Asian, Indigenous people of color, are especially encouraged to apply. And there is $1.5 million available. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. And the grants are, I guess, up to $20,000. So it read so broad that it was like, oh, I don't know. But so we'll see if the webinar helps give us a better idea.
Kids space
would provide access to digital technologies for moms.
Absolutely, that's true. Yeah, that's true. So promising, we'll see if comes to anything. Any other new business? Couple correspondence things. Just today, Tim Burke sent out some information on this new library trustee education requirement that I think we mentioned a couple months ago, where now trustees will be required to have 2 hours per year of education. And it doesn't begin until January of 2023. So I guess there's official legislative text that's available. And it sounds like that they expect that the different trainings that UHLS provides already will meet the requirements. It looks like it will be, in person or online. It'll be possible combination. It doesn't have to be 2 hours of one class. It could be 30 minutes and 20 minutes, all of that kind of thing. So it sounds like the one thing that is maybe not clear yet is how they will have to document that they have done the training. So anyway, nothing to worry about at the moment, but that's progressing.
I can finish my term in total ignorance.
In total ignorance.
But you may have to document.
I have kids that
On the NILA front, they seem to be very focused on intellectual freedom and reporting, having libraries report any challenges that they're getting. I know we talked a little bit about the whole challenge thing, and there's an interesting seminar about that from them. So that seems to be the hot topic right now. And
Challenge as to what things are part of the collection.
yeah, like challenges.
Censorship.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the schools, especially school libraries right now, are having a lot of challenges. We have not had that issue, unfortunately.
You did have the thing with the guy who wanted you to accept the book that
Yeah, that
sort
was
of the opposite.
that
of
was the
the-
opposite.
Yeah.
So, and I have not heard back.
And he
from him.
never pursued it. Good.
So we're all set with that. But yeah, we
Still avoid when seeing what companies or no?
He
stopped it.
I don't know. He hasn't been back either. At least not that I know of. I haven't asked recently, but someone had a book that they wanted to have in the collection, and I didn't think it was appropriate for our collection. And so he tried to talk to me a lot about it, and we gave him the next steps of, you obviously don't agree with my decision, so here's the paperwork to fill out to bring it to the board, and they can then have the decision, they can make the decision as well. And he never went through with that part of it, so we have just been kind of quiet with him since.
Kim did a really excellent job talking to him multiple times in a long period of time, explaining her reasoning, and she was she gave it a very fair shot, researched it, and very, very thorough.
It was sort of trying to sell a specific drug.
It was a cancer treatment book, and we wanted it. It was like, you have to buy this in order to, and it just wasn't. It was not something that was appropriate for us to have. So we talked about it, and I haven't heard from them since. So we'll go from there. But
This story or this subject raises a question in my mind that we're all trustees as opposed to members of the board, and I'm assuming that I'd like confirmation or an explanation of whether that means we have fiduciary responsibilities that go beyond just what a board member would have, and I guess I'm asking about that.
I don't think so. I mean, as far as I understand, it's like we have fiduciary responsibility to the library, but it's not. What would be your difference that you're?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
You're wondering if you need to make a certain donation each year in order to be. or
No,
something like that?
just, no, I don't really have an idea of what it means, and I was hoping you would. I mean, there's a distinction in the name. often members of the board are just a member of a board of directors. They're not called trustees. And I was wondering whether there's a higher level of duty in.
Members of the board of
Yeah.
directors have a same fiduciary duty to the organization
Right,
on
that's
which
right,
board they serve.
right, but I'm.
Trustees of an association library
It's the same.
operate in the same way as directors. There's no difference between the duties of the entity.
Okay,
which
that's
is-
what I'm asking.
Yeah,
whether
I
there
would
is a
think that's the answer to
distinction.
the
Yeah,
question.
okay.
Or at least I'm not aware of any distinction.
Is it sort of like the difference between a town council member as opposed to a town select board member? It's like, some towns are set up with this structure, some with that structure, they all do the same thing, but it's called something different.
Yes. I was not a yes.
I didn't mean to distract.
No,
No,
that's-
not at all. It's a good, this is the handbook that we have, and I'll let you just look at it. But it looks like it looks like sometimes here they're saying trustee / board member, so it may just be that. And right here is the duties and responsibilities, so feel free to borrow this. And, there's also really good, so in addition to, there's a core trustee training that for Hudson does. And in fact, that's coming up, I think, it's on the calendar here somewhere, I forget. But it's very good. Several of us have taken it. It's very clear. They do a good job of that. But there's also they call it trustee handbook book group. That is a virtual program that they're doing, which
Trustee.
yeah, my eyes rolled as high as they could when I saw that announcement come out.
You said it was really interesting.
But it
which is
was very,
fabulous. I'm glad-
it was
I
very
glad
good.
to hear that. It wasn't my idea of a book club.
Yeah,
but-
not mine either, but they do a really good job like in each topic. So I went to the one that's about finance and budgeting and such. And they really go through the details. People can submit some questions. So there's definitely resources available to us for learning more about our roles. And a lot of it was, it's important distinctions and stuff you don't always know. And in addition, like Tim Burke and others from Upper Hudson are very available to us for questions when we have like, oh, what do we do about this? They're very, very supportive. So
I'm glad there's support.
yeah, it's very helpful. So we don't feel like we're left out on our own to figure things out.
I have a question. Is the building and grounds committee responsible for keeping it?
No, it's just someone who's tall is what it is. I only noticed that yesterday, so it'll get changed. No
Actually,
worries.
it's protest against daylight savings.
Right, exactly. They pass that along next year, we don't have to worry about this.
We'll just leave it there until we catch up.
Yeah, well, I guess they passed to keep daylight savings, so not to standardize it, but not on standard time, on daylight savings time.
That was a little confusing.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
No, it's just the Senate, though, right?
Yeah.
The House.
Well, the House will go the opposite. They'll say, well, we'll standardize it if we can go with standard time, not daylight. savings. We don't have to, like, argue about it for 2 years.
So since our actual time is 9:04, we will try to adjourn unless anybody has anything.
I just mentioned I started the anti-racism training
Oh, you did?
at the Upper Hudson
Uh-huh.
library system. Interesting.
Is it?
Are you
What-
doing the classes or are you doing the actual like board member training?
With the board.
Okay.
I'm sorry, the anti-racism program done by the McLean Group,
Yes.
which they will be launching to the libraries and board in Upper Hudson is looking now.
Okay.
So we're doing 6 sessions and it's interesting.
That's what I was curious about because I'm like, I didn't think it was available yet for
No, it's not
us.
available.
So
I think
that's
it's
right.
Yeah. Scott's on the Upper Hudson board.
How it relates to what we do is sort of a challenge in that as we focus, at least from the first session, and I think it will go out, is dealing with race and specifically the African American community. Although there's mention of BIPOC, which is larger than that, or the Asian issues, but this is really focused on it. It seems rather than a diversity program, an anti-racism program, where they're asking people to take a look at race, and it's just fascinating. What I was going to, in connection with a rural library, which has a demographic which doesn't really have a whole lot of folks of color, nationalists, Asians or whatever.
Yeah, but when you think about the censorship side of it, if white parents are saying, I don't want my children to read this book about wooden bridges or something, that's totally relevant.
It's the role of the library to introduce information beyond what.
This
what
is
the
more-
community represents.
We'll see,
But I don't
we'll-
know.
I'm just saying, this seems way more personal than that. It's, I said, it's interesting, and I don't know what the curriculum is. It was really engaging, the first hour and a half that we went through. I looked at the clock and I was astounded that it went so quickly.
Wow.
So it's fascinating. I don't know how applicable it is to, I mean, yes, these are issues involved with race, and much of what goes on in this country have issues of race in them and perceptions. Although this program seems more personal, it asks you to think about your circles and your perceptions. And I think they're going to attempt to educate the white folk, and this is the way it's being presented, is to think about what the Black experiences in this country is, and how they perceive what's going on and how society is organized. And move from there in terms of trying to refocus and get you to be more understanding of the perceptions of other people. Which is not what I thought the program was originally. So it's sort of an interesting thing. I thought it was less directed at sort of an education for people in majority cultures in dealing with minority cultures.
So the focus is more about how library staff and boards and all of that.
It's not
Think about
really,
that.
it's not really, they haven't got, it's not, as far as I can tell, this is based upon the first session, focusing on libraries in specific.
Okay.
It's really just focusing on
Mindset.
Right.
You're-
You as a
you're-
person
who you
who
are,
happens
what
to
your
be-
assumptions are, who is in your circle.
That's
What-
maybe a few sessions in,
Yeah,
you'll have enough self-exploration that then they'll say, how does this apply to the library? You know,
Yeah.
maybe at some point.
maybe, I don't know. We've got 5 more sessions. So there's a lot of work, there's a lot of work to do. But it was interesting. I thought it was really pretty interesting.
Well, that's good that, because it sounds like it's gonna be a big focus for them this year, rolling that out, so.
Do they talked at all at Upper Hudson about trauma, library and trauma-informed services?
I feel like I see that topic occasionally in the list of like
it's kind of
webinars
a
and
hot
things, but I
topic
haven't
these
seen,
days. They
yeah.
do have a friend who's thinking there's a national library, trauma-informed library services thing that's meeting once a month for the next few months in Brooklyn. And we have a friend from Troy who's doing that, so she'd probably share what she's learning from that too.
What kind of trauma? are you
Well, I
referring
mean, what I'm thinking about right now is just COVID has been a trauma for so many people, whether it's been, because of the loss of, interaction or the loss of, money or whatever. But yeah, I just thought maybe that was part of it.
In answer to your question,
Haven't heard about it.
no, not at the board level. We talk about things like we talk about here, where we are in the budget.
Yeah.
Why did we get a director's report? We talk about our various library systems.
Did we adjourn?
No, I stopped that. Now I will now be quiet. And in fact, not only will I be quiet, but I will make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
to? So I'll second that. Steve.
All right, thank you, Ed. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much.